Money, 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 money. It makes the world go round. It is the reason the wrestling business is a wrestling business. But does the MJF and Maxwell Jacob Friedman stand for McMahon money? That is what we're getting into today. WWE reportedly could offer the most desirable wrestling villain in the business right now a hefty sum to come up to McMahonville in WWE. We'll get into it, and I assume a lot of you will be angry about it. Another divisive story involves Naomi and Sasha Banks, who a few weeks ago walked out on WWE and are currently suspended and vacated the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. What is the future of those titles? What is the future of Sasha Banks and Naomi? What is their contract status? And what about this big wrestling entertainment series show that was supposed to go down in the Middle East, then the UK, and now it's not even going down until July? And a lot of big name talent are not happy about it. Speaking of a big name talent, Jeff Jarrett has landed on his feet once again in a high-ranking position back with WWE. We're getting into all of it. You share the link, or I think you stink.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
I am sweating like a stuck pig being rolled over a fire right now in Chicago. Back in the United States of America, over there, I am Kev Kellam, but over there is Jose G in the craziest state in America, Florida. And then
right.
In Nebraska, if he asks you, that is JB Huskers right there at Jeremy Bennett, at JB Huskers. Jeremy Bennett, more importantly there.
What's up?
I'm Kev Kellam. So much going on. If you guys haven't checked it out, we have a lot of great content following.
How was the Cancun assignment?
I got to assignment. Let me just tell you, it was kind of hard to find Lucha Libre at a vacation resort. It was pretty hard. I thought that would just be on the menu.
I mean,
and it was not.
I've never been to Mexico, but every person that has been to Mexico that I know that's been to Cancun, it's just like being in the United States.
Yes.
There's really not a whole lot of culture going on in Cancun.
But it is a wonderful vacation resort. I would say it was a wonderful vacation resort. I did that.
Now, if you went down to Tijuana, now that'd be a different story.
I'd see a lot more than Lucha Libre.
Yeah. There's a whole lot more than Lucha Libre going on.
Let's get into it.
There's Burro Libre going on down there.
Yeah.
Guys, before we get started, let's shout out to the Watch Out Army that's watching, that's tuning in right now. We appreciate you. We love you. I see 116 of you watching right now, so smash that like button. Do that right now. Guys, we are less than 100 subscribers away from hitting our mark of 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. So do it right now. Smash the notification bell so that way you don't miss any updates or any brand new content. Share the video in your favorite wrestling group right now and tag your friends in the comment section and help us get there and engage with the show. The more guys you engage, the algorithm pumps it out and everybody gets to see it.
Yeah, I wonder who at Google saw this yesterday and exploded top story. I don't know what happened there. That was something I'd never seen before.
And we appreciate it. And we love you guys for it. So if we can keep that same energy rolling into today, let's do it. So let's kick it off with our lead story.
We got Delwyn in there from Twitch. Make sure you subscribe to our new Twitch channel, Sportskeeda Wrestling, all one word. That is our new home for Top Story, but also for a new show that we'll talk about. We are going to bring that back. There it is right there on the screen. Getting over on Twitch, we play WWE 2K. We'll play some Retro Mania Wrestling. I've heard from some birdies that we may have some codes to give away. I don't know if it's going to be for tonight's or tomorrow night's episode, but down the line, we will have some codes to give away for Retro Mania Wrestling. We will play Retro Mania Wrestling down the line, as well as the new AEW game once it comes out. But for now, in the near term, for tomorrow night, we are going to continue our Odyssey as SmackDown GM as we try to bitch slap Monday Night Raw. So go ahead, give us a subscribe. We'll be on right after Dynamite tomorrow night.
Hey, Jeremy, Jose, guess what I am? Guess what I am wearing these sunglasses right now? Guess what I am?
I can't tell because I don't see you.
Yeah, I'll get on screen here.
Guess
what I am? Guess what I am? You can't see my eyes.
You're Heisenberg.
No, I'm MJF, not letting you see my cards. That's what it is.
I thought you were Breaking Bad for a minute there.
So let's get into this. The story that really overshadowed, which was a really, really strong pay-per-view from All Elite Wrestling. I wouldn't say it was their best pay-per-view, but a really, really strong one from everything I've seen. I haven't seen the whole show yet. I'm trying to work my way through it in chunks. because I was on vacation. But I mean, the story that really overshadowed everything, a story that now reportedly has aggravated the All Elite Wrestling locker room, a story mired in controversy and secrecy of what is real and what is not, with some of the most prominent journalists in all of wrestling media debating what is and what is not real about this story. MJF on Saturday was scheduled for a meet and greet at AEW's Fan Fest before the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view, and he no-showed it. Or was he? He was scheduled for it. Fans paid money for it, and then security told him he wasn't showing up and they couldn't reach him on his phone. But as this goes on, he obviously is going to reportedly get on a flight and leave Las Vegas, but then it can't be confirmed whether or not he's on the flight. The flight was indeed booked. Who booked the flight?
Did they pay for him specifically ahead of time, or how does that work with AEW? Because a lot of them, you just get in line for the people. You don't pay ahead of time. So
it differs from event to event. It differs from event to event depending on what the circumstances are.
I didn't know how AEW worked. I know how Ring of Honor used to do things. Obviously, I knew how but so it's like, was this an actually advertised, scheduled, people paid for thing?
I believe it was. And you had talent staying after that event to, make up for the time that he wasn't there. So you had people who spent $100 a pop to get their photo and meet and greet with MJF. Didn't do it.
To get berated by MJF because he's still in character.
But that's what they want. But they paid for it, right? They paid for it. And so here's the thing. It gets weirder and weirder as the story develops because obviously MJF, we're hearing that he may or may not show up Sunday afternoon. You have the video promo for the match that he's going to have with Wardlow that's been in the works for 2.5 years, taken down, then put back up, and then shows up. And they delay him walking out. He takes a pretty amount of time to walk out to his music in the first match on the show and runs around the ring and does the Memphis Heat thing, barely get in touch, and then he takes 10 power bombs in a row and gets stretchered out of there, obviously writing him off television. At this time, he is not expected to be on television anytime soon. This is where it gets more interesting here. 7 minutes into our show, we can tell you either today or within the next 24 hours, based on multiple reports from different sources, including Fightful Select, tip of the cap to old Millennial Meltzer himself, getting texts and tweets. Us at Sportskeeda, we've gotten some information from MJF, but it doesn't have anything to do with this. It's a completely separate thing. So it's interesting how this is all playing out because he's a guy who's going to talk to the media and now doesn't mind talking to the media without the gloves being off, where I'm not going to ask for clearance in the media. I'm going to go out there. But who? The thing is, it's obviously people are asking, is this a work? Is this a shoot? That's a big question. Now we can throw in another big wrench into this story that's going to make it a lot more complicated and has been hanging over the whole thing the entire past couple of days. WWE reportedly is willing to offer top money for MJF to jump ship or come to the WWE when he's contractually available.
Yeah, Wade Keller from Pro Wrestling Torch says a source within WWE with knowledge of MJF's stature among top WWE management indicates that MJF is coveted and would likely be given a lucrative contract offer. In fact, it's more than one source given me information that it has a big overlap with this. More than one source says that the treatment Cody has received by WWE on and off the air has given MJF a good impression of how he would be featured in WWE if he were to make the jump. In other words, if Cody was buried or was given promises that weren't kept, maybe MJF would be handling this differently. One source in WWE told Wade Keller that MJF is seen as such commodity that his recent intractable behavior on and off air with AEW would not deter Vince McMahon from making a lucrative offer, although falling out with AEW could take away considerable leverage for MJF. MJF's value to WWE would remain high because they need people. He's young. He's good. He'd be paid accordingly, regardless of his reputation in AEW.
And you have a guy who's publicly said, I'm worth a lot more than I'm getting. And you brought over these top names from WWE in the last year. And what happened with all those top names? Almost all of them were involved in prominent matches and won. and that was this past Saturday on pay-per-view, including CM Punk, who's the new champion, which that makes sense. It's a whole logical thing. But if you're in the AEW day one camp, MJF was your guy, came over from MLW, worked on a short-term deal, got a promotion on that deal because he was obviously outperforming it. And then you bring in these other guys who, I'm talking strictly quarter hours, television ratings. That's it may be an outdated system, but he's winning within that system.
Yeah.
And winning within a modern system of social media, obviously, because There isn't anyone more talked about this week than him. He outshadowed everything on that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And he lost a match and he got squashed.
Wade also mentioned, he goes, well, but this changes a little bit maybe with the headache that Vince McMahon feels in regards to Sasha Banks and Naomi. It may not, but it may his reputation in general might take a blow if details come out. But because obviously Vince does not want to repeat what happened with Sasha and Naomi.
No.
And we've got a story to follow up on that tag titles coming up later on anyways, which is not surprising to me, by the way.
Yeah, so if you're with us and you're waiting for that, don't go anywhere. We want to hear your take on it. We also want to hear what you think about this whole MJF situation. Is MJF a guy that WWE should go after? Does it make sense for them to go after him? And also, throw your loyalty out the window. You know what I mean? Wherever your biases lie, throw it out the window. What you are playing, you have a certain pair of cards. You're in the GM mode, okay? And the GM mode is real, and you have real money to work with here. Do you want MJF?
Imagine Cody and MJF being buddy working together in WWE. How mind-blowing would that be?
That would be absolutely insane. But just to kind of shed a little bit of light on this too, when we hear these reports, coming from the Wade Kellers and the Dave Meltzers, who have been reliable sources in the past, you also got to kind of take this information with a little bit of grain of salt, especially with everything that happened this weekend. Is he showing? Is he not showing? What's happening? I think that MJF has just gotten to a point where he knows how to stir the masses and get people looking one way while he's doing another thing. So and will he be a good fit in WWE? I think he would. I think Vince McMahon sees the value in MJF and is willing to take a risk with MJF, knowing the kind of character he is. And WWE can use some type of a monster, evil, despicable heel besides Roman Reigns right now.
Now, I've heard more than a few people say this. I'm not trying to not have you guys a part of the conversation. If MJF goes to WWE, he will be watered down. That is a completely hypothetical statement.
Well, he just won't be as edgy with his comments.
But I mean, there's guys who can go to WWE and adapt and be fine.
Yeah, he's not going to say the same stuff that he said to about Brian Pillman's mother. No. That stuff's not going to be on WWE. Now, I don't know, if you count that as watering down by being not as insultive and as harsh as he can be on AEW, then it would be watered down. But
here's a comment. Hefe Jr. saying, if I'm WWE, I'm buying out his contract if possible, something that I don't know if has ever happened in wrestling.
Not in wrestling,
another promotion will come in and buy out the rest of your deal and then bring you in. I don't know if that's the case, because that would set up a very odd precedent for two major companies that are genuinely competing against each other.
There's a reason why you've never heard of a contract being bought out in pro wrestling, because it would probably cause a landmine of things.
Then you're talking about unionization, and you're talking about all these different things that maybe an AEW or a WWE
that's probably why contracts are not bought out in WWE or pro wrestling, because it's not unionized.
David from the Barclays Center, who's always with it. Thank you so much, David. Why wouldn't they? Only make sense for business to satch away your most viable competition's biggest villain. Nobody in AEW is currently fit to fill his shoes. It's worth noting he was the first thing on the show, and then there was 3.5 hours of other stuff that I thought was very, very good.
That's so he could leave immediately after.
But then and then you have him walking out. Let's get into this Sasha Banks Naomi story. This one, obviously, outside of MJF, is the big scandal. Ooh, scandal. But this one continues to evolve a little bit, and it kind of alludes to what is the future of the WWE Women's Championships at this time. Those were left on the table of the head of talent relations, John Laurinaitis, when these two women, Naomi and Sasha Banks, left WWE, and they used that people power to walk out the door for a bunch of different reasons. Some that WWE stated, some that people have questioned. There's a lot going on here. And it's another story with a lot of intrigue, a lot of controversy, and two people that haven't said anything about it, at least directly online. So it's interesting to see what is going on here. So what we know right now is they are still employed by WWE, but could possibly be suspended without pay, something that cannot be confirmed, but has been noted to one major source. So what is also the latest with the future of those women's championships right now?
Two sides of the things here. First off, on the tag titles, it sounds like, according to Uncle Dave Meltzer, that the plan to do a tournament for the tag team titles is, quote, dead. No, not surprising considering there's hardly any tag teams in the women's division. You'd have to literally piece together teams or call up some NXT teams in order to just field a 4-team tournament. So it's not surprising that that is right now dead, because there's not much you can do with it right now. And in terms of Sasha and Naomi, Fightful Select dropped a report here this afternoon stating that they are currently suspended and there is no end in sight. There has not been much, if any, communication between the two sides. Fightful has confirmed that WWE canceled upcoming travel plans they had for both women starting last week when the suspension happened. Meltzer, of course, they mentioned Meltzer reporting that the suspension was without pay. Fightful has not been able to verify that. A higher up within WWE has told Fightful that they do not believe Naomi and Sasha's contracts would be frozen if they're not being paid. That means they would be free and clear, free agents, free to appear on Dynamite literally in July. I think is the somewhere end of July, maybe might be the end of the contract. I can't remember off the top of my head. Another source indicated to Fightful that initially several in WWE didn't want them to vacate the titles, but it became clear very quickly that that was the route that had to be taken, probably because, well, we haven't had much communication between the two sides. And there's, but then they talked about the tournament, but then, I mean, who the hell are you going to have fill a tournament when you don't have tag teams to do so? So it's a shit show. Let's just say
it really is.
And both promotions with some backstage stuff. Yeah.
But I mean, if they're not paying them, that means they are free to go in about a month, which is mind-blowing.
I've seen a few comments right here in the chat. Too bad that you can't trade wrestlers like you do, like in sports or in certain things.
Union.
Because look at it. Maybe we'll see a trade. Sasha for MJF and AEW for WWE. Imagine if that was a possibility. I know this is out of the realm of possibility right now. It's a dream scenario, right? But I mean, when you start it's a lot of bullshit going on both sides.
Yeah, and it looks like there's not really any effort to improve that. So I think WWE, here's what's gonna, I think, happen. I think WWE is gonna let Sasha go and welcome Naomi back. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think once this blows over, Naomi will probably be welcomed back and probably join the bloodline, because they're gonna need some bodies in that with Roman being gone so much in the summer. So I figured that relationship can be repaired, but I think Sasha's jumping ship. I think she's going to AEW or Impact. AEW or now Impact.
That's a pretty bold prediction, Jeremy.
And Impact's well, if they're not freezing the contract, she's free to go wherever the hell she wants at the end of July or whatever date that is. I know it's coming up.
We only have one source saying about the whole pay freeze and things like that, so we don't know. We don't know exactly what the contract situation is.
Now, when this dropped, it was 2 months. Yeah, when this dropped, it was 2 months. So it may be beginning of July that she's free.
Or these contracts are frozen and we don't know. I mean, there's plenty to be seen here. And a lot of people are going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't think we know some things.
I think legally
we know some things.
Legally they can't freeze them if they're not paying them, though.
True. So let's see what's going on here as well. This story, another controversial story. Don't worry, we'll end on a positive one here. This involves the Wrestling Entertainment Series event, which has a lot of big name talent tied to it, including Lana, Nia Jax, AOP, formerly of WWE. Of course, you can see the big man there over on the left, and Alistair Overeem, Killer Cross, just a lot of noteworthy televised wrestling talents that are contractually available to do this event, including Jonathan Coachman from ESPN and WWE fame. He was going to be a part of broadcasting this. It would have aired on
and Matt Remwalt.
Yeah, Matt Remwalt would have been a part of it as well. Thank you. And so you have a lot of people that obviously are going to come in at a certain caliber dollar. And this event is kind of oddly struck by a couple of different things. It was set to go down in the Middle East. And then there's an issue internationally with the Sheikh there in Dubai and in Saudi Arabia, in the region in general. And so that just kind of shakes things up. And there's just culturally, that's not the time to run that type of event. That was supposed to go on this weekend. Then it got moved to England. And now it's not going to happen in the UK. So this is a weird scenario. And reportedly, a lot of the talent that are involved with this are not happy about this because you're booking international travel, you're booking COVID tests, you have to put yourself in certain clearance windows and different things like that. You have to open yourself up to the idea of, well, if I work this and I go over there and I get, especially, 2 weeks, you're talking about some really serious issues there. Shout out to Toronto with a lot of eights. Sportskeeda on Twitch. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. So this happens in independent wrestling. That there's people who get, hey, we thought you're going to get paid this. You're waiting for the PayPal to come through, the Venmo, and this is weird. But the scale of this has got to be huge.
This stemmed from a tweet that Fight sent out the tweet on yesterday, and Chelsea responded with saying, actually, it's canceled. So then Fightful dug into it a little more and confirmed that there have been issues with the arena, that the event had to be pulled back. Talent were told that they were to be paid to a certain extent, but they haven't learned if that has happened as of yet. That is Fightful Select. There are numerous people booked on the card who have said they won't be heading over there in July because this got rescheduled to July 9th. Word spread when Chelsea Green said the show wasn't happening last night, and that was before the venue even announced it on Tuesday. As Kevin said, several talent are very upset about the postponement. But yeah, it looks like issues with the arena. It was supposed to happen somewhere in Nottingham. I can't remember, or I don't remember where exactly here. Let me see if the Motor Point Arena is where it was supposed to happen, and tickets were still available to be purchased as of today. So, it looks like the arena screwed up something.
This is just, I feel bad if people were, looking to get themselves a sweet payday on a major arena event.
And apparently it's a holiday this weekend in the UK. I see some of our UK viewers are chiming in the comments about that. Jubilee is this weekend, Thursday till Monday. So I don't know if that has anything to do with this event. But man, it sucks, especially if you already bought tickets for it.
I'm sorry, I was trying to the Queen's Jubilee. I'm trying to do the Queen's Wave. I'm not good at it, but whatever. I need a better wrist rotation. Certainly weird.
That's what she said.
Hey now. Hey.
We got I thought we had some reactions here, but this article is lacking those reactions, so never mind.
Some people say a lot of people are using the word cringe in the comments. So yes, guys, we absolutely agree with you. It sounds like a very cringy situation completely. Let's get into this one. This is a positive story. Jeff Jarrett, who's been very friendly to us at Sportskeeda, we have a fresh interview with him from just a few weeks ago. But he released this on his My World podcast, which is available with Conrad Thompson's ad-free shows network, and confirmed something that had been reported, but he just simply didn't go on the record for it. And now on his own podcast, he's confirming it, just doesn't go into great detail about it, that he has accepted a senior vice president role within WWE, handling live events. This is a very, very significant role to take on in WWE, with Nick Khan assuming even more corporate executive abilities and responsibilities as Stephanie McMahon is taking leave of absence. Obviously, Vince McMahon is still there. But a lot of people seeing more of the Nick Khan influence here, the former head of the Creative Artists Agency and a major, major power player in Hollywood who brokered, 2 different billion-dollar deals to WWE and then joined the company. So Jeff Jarrett coming in, though, I think is a reminder that this is still a wrestling show and you need wrestling people that are involved with it. This is smart by WWE. You have a guy who has multiple generations. He was raised in the business at the smallest level and has played at the most successful level for some of the biggest players. Controversies, all those different things aside, this is a healthy guy, went in the Hall of Fame in 2018. I've had the pleasure of talking to Jeff a handful of times. Maybe I sound biased. Very, very happy for Double J getting this role.
Yeah, you're biased. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're
biased.
A little biased.
I'm biased because I want good things to happen to good people.
No, you're spitting facts, though, Kevin. You're absolutely right about it. I mean, but we talked about this, I think, when you were on vacation assignment late last week, earlier this week. About this story, and I, for one, am giving him a lot of praise because of the amount of live event experience he has. I mean, he ran TNA, he had Global Wrestling Federation, he did a bunch of stuff overseas and in India. I can't think of anybody more qualified to be running or doing anything with live events at an executive level than Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. I mean, the guy just has that experience, and WWE has the motor
from an experience standpoint.
Yes. Yeah, and now he's involved in minor league baseball in Springfield, Illinois. He's, owns part of a team there and is involved in that promotion. This isn't a guy who doesn't understand how to do these things. WCW, WWE, TNA, he can do it at scale. I would wonder what changes he could make with the way WWE presents their live events. We've seen a lot of different changes with specifically the live events that are not televised, changing them to Saturday night's main event, giving them a slightly different branding, putting some big names on them, moving some things around, having Legends nights, things that they've done sporadically. What is he going to introduce to that concept? And what can he do to make those things more alluring to the diehard fan who says, I'm going to wait to go to the pay-per-view. I'm going to wait to go to Raw. Or, you know what, I'm not going to go to the show in my town. I'm going to wait and save my money for a WrestleMania trip or something like that. How do you make those events when you're on the road 52 weeks a year nearly more compelling? And then on top of it, you see this change here with Money in the Bank, where they moved it from a massive stadium. Tickets still moving well for an arena scale, but stadium scale it wasn't. So they move it to the MGM Grand. And then they're marketing the heck out of it on billboard trucks in Vegas during AEW Double or Nothing.
Right across the street and saying the Double or Nothing is,
and using the same tagline that I used when it was announced, where it was a more intimate setting, and now they're using it all. Corey Graves is using that thing left. See, Corey Graves.
They're listening.
Corey Graves.
To us.
Breaking news tomorrow night on Dynamite. Strap in, baby. John Moxley versus Daniel Garcia.
All right, that'll be a fun one. That'll be a fun one for sure. We have a super chat I got to get to here in a minute.
I tried to reach out to Sean. I did not get a follow-up, but still no word as to why Jeff Hardy and Adam Cole have been pulled from the 10-man tag for tomorrow as well. Probably banged up from Sunday, but no confirmation as of yet.
All right, we wait for more on that. Of course, go to sportskeeda.com for everything wrestling from every different source, all in one place. Download the app, by the way. It's available on Android and Apple. Roland Curtis with the super chat. Thank you so much, Roland. Always appreciate your support.
Appreciate you,
Wrestler's Court was lighthearted, but in your opinions, you're getting really hypothetical here, Roland. This is a tough situation. Does Sasha Naomi walking out or a walkout as easily if the Undertaker was still in the WWE locker room? Would they be pulling this if certain veterans were still in the WWE? That is such a hypothetical situation. And it's just very, very hard for me to answer that.
I think it's apples and oranges.
It's apples and oranges. I think this is a completely different scenario. I think just, describing it and labeling it as an unprofessional thing I don't think that's a controversial thing to do. No. But these are people that felt like they were pushed to do something unprofessional in the situation they were in.
If I'm going into a hypothetical and I'm going back and I'm thinking, Undertaker and the possibility of multiverses, right? Who is Sasha Banks's number one idol? Eddie Guerrero. I don't think it would have been Undertaker as her locker room leader as opposed to Eddie Guerrero. What Eddie Guerrero would have walked, I don't know. But I think she would have listened to Eddie Guerrero as opposed to Undertaker. Not saying that she wouldn't have listened to Undertaker, but I think she would have taken more of the advice of Eddie Guerrero as opposed to the Undertaker.
Plus, the Wrestler's Court was more for
hypothetical.
The Wrestler's Court was for more the things that happened in the ring or in the locker room or backstage.
Or on the road.
It didn't have anything to do with contract or creative disputes. They walked out because of that, So Wrestler's Court was more for things where you didn't. Let me give you one example. It was a video I just did for Sportskeeda of unexpected or weird reasons that a wrestler was fired, and one of them was because I can't remember which guy it was, but he won a battle royal at a live event and didn't publicly put over didn't put over the talent in the locker room, thanking them for that, which is an unwritten rule. And that kind of,
because you're in the ring with more than one person, you're in the ring with a lot of people.
Apparently it's an unwritten rule where you need to thank the locker room for putting you over. And I wish I remember which wrestler it was. I mean,
I have one that I know of. I won't name names.
All right, while you talk, I'll pull up the script.
I've pulled this story a couple times, so I can't say who was involved because I don't think it's respectful to the people involved. So I want to say within the last 30 years in WWE, there is a specific female talent who gained the ire of a noteworthy tag team in WWE when she was upgraded on a flight to first class. And at the time, she was a certain rank in the card, and this tag team was maybe either above her or other performers were clearly above her. And she, with this noteworthy tag team, was told, you got upgraded from economy to first class. And the unsaid rule is you give that to a veteran. Somebody who's higher up on the card, who's a bigger draw than you, producers, somebody else with the company who's been here longer than you, who made this territory, this promotion what it is. They should be given that, even if it's just something you're given by an airline or something like that. And I've heard this before with like touring companies and circuses and stuff like that too before. So the wrestling court goes down. I can say this: The Undertaker is the judge, and JBL's the bailiff. And you simply got yourself out of wrestling court by saying sorry and bringing enough booze.
Yep.
and you were paying your way out of wrestling jail.
The voiceover I did was not fired. It was 7 WWE superstars who were kicked out of the locker room, and it was Mr. Kennedy who got kicked out of the locker room for not thanking the other wrestlers that put him over in that battle royal. And then, of course, later on, he screws up a hold with Randy Orton, and that got him fired. Right when he was going to win, or right when he was going to be Mr. McMahon's son, which then turned out to be Horns, which would have been a great story, but then instead we get Hornswoggle.
Ridiculous. Yes, people saying JBL was a prosecutor. Well, I can confirm you that he was involved in this.
JBL was a lot of things, let's just say.
Yeah. We're getting the wrap up from Jose. Thank you so much, Jose, keeping us on some form of time. So you can follow Jose on the Twitter machine and Instagram at Jose_G_official. Follow me on the Instagram. I gotta get my Instagram up going.
By the way, guys, I'm not one to like really announce like big moments in my life, but this weekend is the big moment in my life. So make sure you follow me and on my social media.
You want to see the party? Instagram, I'm looking forward to this.
And on TikTok, because I'll be going live and having some stories. It's my 40th birthday party, guys. So if you guys want to see and have like a little backstage intimate view of what's going on my festivities this weekend, give me a follow on my socials, guys.
Yes. I've drank with him before, and we only just like scratch the surface of boozing.
Oh, no, I know.
So
plug your show in, man. You got a show here coming up.
Wait till you get a load of me.
I have a bunch of different comedy dates I'm going to be sharing on my Twitter that you guys can check out. I'm going to be on the road in Wisconsin and Janesville, come up in a few weeks. So if you know any in the Midwest, tell them to come out to my comedy shows. You can watch my clips, by the way. You can watch full sets that I have up now at my website, kevinkellam.com. That is kevinkellam.com. Go check that out. And I'll also be a part of AAW live on Fight TV coming up June 11th.
I'll be making some appearances here and there. You can catch me Wednesday morning on the Twitter. I got a new appearance that I'll be making there Wednesday morning. And, of course, Wednesday night, come over to Twitch. Jose and I, maybe Kev, we're going to get into that GM mode once again. Maybe we'll try some other things out as well. But we got through week 1 of the GM mode. We didn't really do any matches, though, or didn't play any matches, so maybe we'll test one out just to see how CPU versus CPU works on that. Get your guys' feedback, obviously, because you guys are going to be running the show. So subscribe to Twitch at just search for Sportskeeda Wrestling, one word, as we dig into WWE 2K22 GM mode once again here on Wednesday after Dynamite.
We're going to have to alternate the commentary booth, like 1 week me and 1 week Kevin. We'll just go like super like, Southpaw regional wrestling, just go super ridiculous on this.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
We'll let the chat pick out names. We'll get into all of it. We'll
ready
explore and get weird, dude. All right, thank you guys so much.
Appreciate the love, guys.
Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Shout out to the whole team in India and the States, everybody within the Sportskeeda team. It is going to be a hot, sweaty summer. And follow all the content that we have for you at sportskeeda.com. Remember, when watching wrestling, do the most important thing, which is what, mere mortal?
You must enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pray.
We got to add a new thing now at the end of the show.
Max and male models.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!